We've been told that, hey, you need to lose fat, you need to lose fat. But what if we switch that, we invert that conversation and we're like, what if the real issue is you just don't have enough muscle? Hi, my name is Moe Ghias. Essentially, I'm a kid who's obsessed with winning. Hello. Welcome to Healthy Systems Podcast, everybody. Recording this episode a day after Eid al-Adha. So super excited. I hope you had a great Eid if you were celebrating. And if you weren't celebrating, it's totally cool. Hope you're having a great start to your summer. Today's episode is something that will help a lot of you. It'll give a lot of you new perspective, but also I've been really thinking a lot about this since I've been having a lot of conversations with a lot of my clients that are beginners to strength training or that are beginners to their weight loss journey. So here's the episode today. The episode is about the fact that you are not fat, you are under muscled. Okay. Some of you might have heard this concept before, but it's inspired by Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. And she wrote a book on it, and I was just reading it. The book is called Forever Strong. Very, very good book. Now, basically, this whole thesis that we've been told, and it's kind of a lie, but it's very well spread because big pharmaceutical companies make a lot of money off of it. And the whole concept is we've been told that, hey, you need to lose fat, you need to lose fat. But what if we switch that, we invert that conversation and we're like, what if the real issue is you just don't have enough muscle? Okay. I feel that the muscle conversation, especially in the West, actually East or the West, Eastern countries as well as the Western countries, we don't really talk as much about the muscle side of things, right? We're always obsessed with losing fat. We're always obsessed with losing weight, especially if you're a female. You know what I mean? It's very, 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 like, I feel like if I take 200 consultations, only two women ask about, hey, Mo, I also want to gain muscle. So this is a conversation we need to have as a society, because what if by having this conversation and thinking more about muscle can help us burn more fat and give you all the other benefits as well. So this book has been amazing. And the whole point of it is stop thinking in terms of like weight loss, fat loss all the time. Think in terms of how can I get more muscle? Okay. And I promise you, even if you tried, you will not get jacked, right? You will not look like Hulk Hogan. You will not look like a bodybuilder because those guys are on steroids. They're on years and years and years and years of steroids. So just by lifting some dumbbells, you're not going to turn into them in 3 months. I promise you, even if you tried, you couldn't, right? So here's what Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, she talks a lot about. So one of the theses in her book is muscle is the organ of longevity. Right. So if you want to live longer, have some muscle. So most people, what they do is they chase fat loss, but very few realize that muscle is also your metabolic engine, meaning instead of starving yourself and being in a caloric deficit for the rest of your life, why not build a little bit more muscle so then you can eat the foods you like, but also the body is just burning through calories day in and day out. And even when you're sleeping at night, the body is still burning through calories. That's the same. You cannot achieve that with walking. You cannot achieve that with cardio, and you cannot achieve that by doing some, Zumba class. You're only going to achieve that by building some muscle. So Dr. Lyon makes a really good point on that, which is like muscle is the organ of longevity. So if you want to build muscle, let's get into some strength training and you'll build some more muscle. You'll get more toned. And as a result, you'll also be able to burn more calories throughout the day because muscle is your biggest. It says the biggest highlight on the biggest metabolic engine. So muscle also improves insulin sensitivity. So last 3 to 4 years I feel like after the pandemic, just because people have been home more, working from home, I've been hearing a lot more about insulin sensitivity. I'm also hearing a lot more about PCOS. So we see a lot more clients with that. And I'm not a doctor, I'm just a fitness coach, but clients do tell us their current condition, like what they're struggling with. And I just hear those words a lot more. And I think a big part of that is we lost a lot more muscle during the pandemic because people were at home, not exercising, not moving around. So remember, muscle also improves insulin sensitivity, your energy, and your aging, like she says. So think long term, okay? More muscle equals better aging, better hormone, better life. And for those of you that want to have kids and have healthy pregnancies, muscle is also your best friend, okay? So just remember these things because sometimes we just hear our older generation talk about, man, you don't want to get too muscular. But it's like, bro, you're like 50 pounds overweight. You have a beer belly. Like, who are you giving it? Who are you to give advice? So at the end of the day, you're not overweight, you are under muscle. Just like having this frame in your mind will really help you. And Dr. Lyon reframes the problem. He said, it's not that you have too much fat, it's that you have too little lean tissue. So by highlighting muscle as your target for better health, you create positive momentum. Focus on what you have to gain, not lose. And a lot of the time, this reframe helps break all or nothing mindset. And it really focuses on actually it focuses on building instead of restricting. If you're always restricting, if you're always just being like, man, I'm going to cut my favorite foods out, or I'm going to cut chocolate, I'm going to cut out coffee, I'm going to cut out all these things, your days are numbered because you're thinking in terms of restriction, and you can only restrict so much until you get to a point where your body overrides it and just binges and just forces you to binge. It's kind of like so often I used to, one of my friends once told me a story. He's like, man, I was on keto and I was like so disciplined. And then on day 3, I was at work at the hospital and I saw a bag of chips. He's like, Mo, I couldn't stop myself. He's like, my body just went for it. And I'm like, why would you even get to that point? You only get to that point if you've been just like restricting. Versus, what if you had a healthier relationship with those things and you focused on building muscle? And yeah, you can have chips every day if you like. You know what I mean? You just have to moderate it. Then that way, the binge restrict cycle never gets so much that it just your body just ends up taking over and then, takes you down a bad road. So here's how I want you to think about the muscle part, okay? So if you think of a woman who's the same weight but has 15 more pounds of muscle, she will look leaner, she will look stronger, and she's much more metabolically healthier. And she can also move around better. So you can have 2 women the same weight, but one just has 15 more pounds of muscle than the other. That one with 15 more pounds of muscle can run longer. She has higher quality of life. She can spend more times with her kid and run around with them at the park. And also her waist is smaller almost always. So her waist is smaller, so she can fit into better dresses. If you're a religious person, especially Muslim, she can pray easier. She can do more yoga. She can go on longer hikes. She can, all of those things. Just being the same weight, but just 15 more pounds of muscle will change your life, right? So that's the power of thinking more about the muscle side of things instead of just obsessing about being over fat. One thing you will need from your nutrition. So obviously strength training with your exercise side of things is going to build that muscle. But what's actually going to fuel that muscle is the protein in your diet, right? So that's where the power of protein comes in. So every adult, Dr. Lyon talks about this, and it's across the board. It's unanimously agreed upon across scientists and exercise specialists. Is every adult should consume at least 1 gram of protein per pound of their ideal body weight each day, because protein, for example, is the building block of muscle. So you cannot build muscle without having protein in your diet. And the key mistake people make is they undereat protein, especially in breakfast. So just start and end the day with at least 30 grams of protein. So your breakfast and your dinner have at least 30 grams of protein. And another thing she really talks about is hard work is the life hack. Hard work is the life hack. And I'm not a fan of brute force hard work with no direction, with no strategy. So I want you to have a strategy, have a plan, and then work hard at it, right? Versus just going balls deep and being like, I'm going to go keto, I'm going to go run 10 miles a day. And it's like you're just burning yourself out. That's just a false strategy. You cannot sustain it. Good strategy is something you can sustain forever. So what she makes a really good point about is like strength training is not easy. It's harder than pushing the run button on the treadmill, right? It's going to require some skill. And strength training isn't easy, but neither is chronic fatigue, bloating, and low confidence. You know what I mean? So you just stop looking for shortcuts. Muscle is earned, not downloaded. Obviously, there's a lot of steroids and all that stuff in the market right now, peptides and all of those things, all the shortcuts. The problem is there's no shortcut to hard work. So when you get in the gym, you're going to have to learn some strength training, but it literally takes a couple of weeks and you'll master all the machines and you'll master most of 90% of the movements. And then after that, that's when the fun starts and you can actually start making progress. Just like the last episode, I talked about Milo and the power of progressive overload, how he would lift the calf. And as the calf got bigger, Milo also got stronger. So you want to be progressively overloading and then feeding yourself plenty of protein. But at the end of the day, build the habit because muscle is earned. It's not downloaded. So build the habit 3 times a week of structured strength training can literally change everything. Because the big reward is if you just build 10 to 15 more pounds of muscle, right? And the first year, you can actually achieve that. If you dedicate yourself for 6 months to 1 year, you can actually build about, 10 to 15 pounds of muscle. And even if you're the same weight as your best friend, but she has no muscle and you have 15 more pounds of muscle, your waist will be smaller. You'll be able to run longer. You'll be able to hike faster. You'll just have a better quality of life. You'll wake up with more energy. You won't be as lethargic. You'll just be able to feel stronger. You'll be able to lift things. And I promise you, it's one of the best feelings in the world. If you're a mom, it's a life hack. If you're a single person, it's a life. Like, no matter what situation you're in, having more muscle will almost always help you. Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about, what Dr. Lyon talks about, is that she calls muscle as insurance against aging. So what she talks about is, like, as we age, sarcopenia, which is a medical condition, it just means muscle loss. As you age, sarcopenia becomes the number one predictor of health decline. So as people's health is declining, they have seen that sarcopenia, or their muscle loss, is the number one predictor. So somebody who's retaining muscle and building more muscle will have better health than somebody who's consistently losing it. So after the age of 30, your body is losing muscle mass every year. I think there's a percentage, I think up to 5% every single year. So then eventually you have very, very, very little muscle mass left. And that's why, like, by the age of 50, most people are weak and they're tired and they have diabetes, high cholesterol, hypertension, all of that. So think of strength training as future proofing your body. It's literally buying an insurance for your body. And you want to get, you want to be the 60-year-old who can hike mountains. You want to be the 60-year-old who can do things, run upstairs, not the one who can't get off the floor. That's a very, very important thing. So if you've been trying to lose fat, and pick up your grandkids, play with your kids, play with your nephews, and just be out in the yard. Playing. Like yesterday, I was playing, just throwing ball with my nephews in the backyard, and it was so fulfilling. It was so nice. But I also know plenty of 30-year-olds who are so out of shape they can't even, play 5 minutes. So at the end of the day, being in shape, whether at 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, it will always be a great thing, and it'll improve the quality of your life. So if you've been trying to lose fat but feel stuck, maybe it's not the fat you need to lose. Maybe it's the muscle you need to gain. So think about muscle. Don't always be thinking about losing fat, restricting. Obviously, some of you do need to lose fat, and it's okay, but I also want you to prioritize gaining some muscle. So let's focus on building strength, energy, confidence, all of those things. And if you want specific help with this, if you want me to coach you, if you want my team and I to really get hands-on coaching, build you custom workouts, guide you with nutrition, hold your hand step by step, because this shit is not easy. But the goal of my podcast is to give you awareness. And if you're a self-starter, maybe you can do it on your own. But the amount of time I've seen self-starters succeed is very, very, very little. But I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people succeed with the help of a one-on-one coach. And that's what we specialize in. So if you want to focus on this and really take this seriously and age healthier and have more muscle and look great, just DM me the word strong to get started, and then you and I will jump on a consultation, and then we can talk. And you can DM me on Instagram at Moe Ghias, MoeGhias. You can also find me on Facebook, Moe Ghias. You can also find me, if you just go to our website, twtt.us, you'll be able to find us. Even if you just Google me, you'll find one of our pages. But overall, just DM me the word strong, and then we can talk more, get to know you better, and design a program around your specific goals and really get you there. So some summary of this entire episode: focus on building muscle, not just burning fat. Prioritize protein, train for strength, train to get stronger, and then rethink aging. Right? Muscle is your insurance. Muscle is your best friend. If you just gain 15 more pounds of muscle, your life will be different. And hard work is the real hack, right? Once you get a plan, once you get in it, then it's all about really making it as easy as possible for you to work hard at the one thing that needs to be worked hard upon, right? Because it's not about how hard you work. It's more about what you work hard on. Okay. And that's where strategy is very important. That's where having a good plan is very important, because everybody's working hard. But why is everybody getting such different results? Because what you work on matters a lot, and who you work on with also matters, right? Like, who is your coach? Who's guiding you through all of this? If you're trying to do it all alone and you've been overweight for the last 20 years, what makes you think you're going to succeed on your own? It's kind of like me saying, I can learn quantum physics on my own. It's like, no. I've not been able to master it on my own. I should go actually hire a professor who actually does this and maybe get some tutoring lessons or have him mentor me on it, right? Like we do that even for when you learn how to drive, right? This is important. Like, this is a relevant example because one of my family members was learning how to drive and they went to a driving school because they're, about 16 years old. They've never driven before. So it's like, yeah, going to driving school makes so much sense. But with fitness, for some reason, people are like 45 years old and they've never been in shape. They're like, yeah, I'll just need to be more motivated. I'll figure it out tomorrow. I'm like, bro, tomorrow is Monday. It's just another day. It changes nothing. So at the end of the day, you thinking you can figure this stuff out on your own versus in every other area of your life, you hire help because it's just a recipe for disaster. You know what I mean? Having somebody to guide you is always better. So yeah, do that and then keep me posted. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. At the end of the day, I don't want you to worry about fat as much as being worried about being under muscled because you're not fat. You are under muscled. I can tell you that. So at the end of the day, I hope this helps. If you like it, just shoot me a DM. Let me know how you enjoyed this episode and what you would like to hear next. And either way, I wish you the best and then I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. One, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Moe Ghias, MOE, G as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word Healthy Systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in and I really appreciate you.